Welcome back to the Jane Z podcast. This is episode 10.
10.
Episode 10.
That's wild. 10 episodes.
I can barely count to 10.
I can't count to 10.
I don't know if we can shoot any more episodes. I'm running out of fingers to count on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to take off my socks.
Count your toes.
Oh, that's a terrible joke. Okay, so
That's
we
fine.
watched Terminator 3.
Talk to the hand.
Terrible.
It sucks.
So, I was actually thinking about this. As I was watching the movie, I was like, all right, podcast. Favorite moments, want to be positive, and then some stupid shit happened, and I went, want to be positive, I need to be positive, and then just more stupid shit happened.
So I struggled with the same thing. I watched it and I'm like, come on, it can't be that bad.
It got so bad.
I guess I thought that James Cameron also did the third one.
No.
That is definitely not the case.
So really quick, before we go any further, I do want to play a game with you.
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
Okay.
So we're going to play the box office game. So for 2003,
Okay.
I have a piece of paper right in front of me.
Ooh, okay, yeah. He
And
does.
so, because in 1991, when T2 came out, it was #1 at the box office. Like, it kicked ass. If you haven't seen it, please do, or heard it, please go to our page, listen to our T2. Great
Terminator
episode.
2, yeah.
Terminator 2. So it kicked ass in 1991. 2003, a little bit different.
That's what, 12 years later?
12 years later. A little rough. So right here in front of me, I have a list of the top 7 movies at the box office. Terminator 3, Finding Nemo, Matrix Reloaded, Bruce Almighty, The Last Samurai, The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, and Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you that.
Okay.
And
Card.
I'm going to give you a pen.
Okay.
I'm giving him a pen. And I want you to put in what order do you think it made the most money?
Okay.
Terminator 3.
You're going to make me count again.
Yeah, speaking of counting.
All right, so here we go. So, you know what? I don't know how I want to start here.
Okay.
So, I think what I'll do is I'm going to put Lord of the Rings at 2,
Okay.
number 2.
Okay.
I'm going to put Pirates at 3.
Okay.
I'll put Bruce Almighty at 4.
That surprised me. Not about the number, but Bruce Almighty being in the top 7.
Yeah, it was good, though.
It was. I really liked it. But when I saw the list, I was like, Bruce Almighty? Did people really like that movie? Like, people were still showing up for Jim Carrey.
I love that movie.
No, I really like that movie. Just start getting in a fight.
You kind of sound like an asshole right now.
It's a good movie. If I met him, I'd be like, beautiful.
That's the only reason why I know how to spell beautiful.
Every time someone's like, how do you spell beautiful? I'm like, beautiful.
If anyone knows me in real life, they know that one of my biggest crippling fears is my ability to spell. If somebody put a gun to my head and said, spell concise, you know what I'd do? I'd say, pull the trigger.
You're like, K.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Lord of the Rings at 2. Pirates at 3. Bruce Almighty at 4. Matrix at 5.
Okay. And we're talking the Matrix sequel, Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah, we'll do The Last Samurai at 6.
Okay.
We'll do Terminator 3 at 7.
What is number 1?
Finding Nemo.
Okay. All right. Drum roll, please.
Okay.
So in this order, number 1, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
Damn.
I know.
I did 2.
Yeah, you were really close.
Close. You're like, I was really close, but you're wrong. You're really wrong.
It kicked ass at the box office. Like,
Of course it's Lord of the Rings.
That was the year that it also swept the Academy Awards. Like, it won every fucking thing. Like, it was like Best Makeup Award, Best Assistant Award.
Yeah.
Number 2.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, it wasn't later. It wasn't early. Like, it arrived precisely when it needed to.
I haven't seen those movies in so long. We need to do that.
We need
sometime.
to do those, yeah.
And not the Hobbit movies. Those movies can go fuck themselves.
That's what we saw.
How do you take a book that's 60 pages and make it into 3 fucking movies? Number 2 was Finding Nemo.
Oh,
I know.
Okay, you know why I said that? Because do not sleep on Finding Nemo.
No.
Dory, she doesn't miss.
Do you remember? I mean, if you listen to
Your son, bingo.
last week's podcast, we made jokes about if Anastasia had a gun.
Oh, yeah.
And we talked about Finding Nemo. Oh, you made me ink. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, so that's to me, it's not surprising because Finding Nemo, it's one of those kids movies that like it caters to the main primary audience is like kids, right?
Yeah.
But there's jokes in there that like adults find funny. So like there's other films that do that too, like Incredibles, like as an example, where Samuel Jackson's like, "Where is my motherfucking super suit?"
That Incredibles is also a great movie.
Yeah, but Finding Nemo has that where it's like it's a kid's
what am I, a
movie.
clownfish? Do I amuse you?
Yeah, funny how.
Funny how?
Yeah, but so I think that's why I put it so high. But it's cool too. Okay.
Number 3 is Matrix Reloaded.
I had that at 5.
5, yeah. No, everybody was super hyped for the sequel. Sequel has a really stupid fucking ending. Like,
I haven't seen it in so long.
All right, we might have to watch those, but the sequel, like, the ending is like to be continued.
Can I say something honest?
Yeah, go for it.
Can we watch John Wick instead?
Yes, yes. Keanu Reeves action. I would rather watch like it could be Keanu Reeves just like sipping coffee for 3 hours, and I'd be like, you know what? Better than Matrix Reloaded.
You know,
like, at least I don't have to see PlayStation graphics.
That's just good soup.
Exactly, good soup. Number 4, Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl.
And 3.
Johnny Depp actually got nominated for an Academy Award for that one.
Which one was that? It was like Pirates 18?
It's the first one.
Or...
Yeah.
Okay.
No, okay. This was before the 18s.
Okay.
Number 5, Bruce Almighty.
4. Wow, I did not hit a single one of these. I'm striking out.
6 is The Last Samurai.
Oh, I got that one.
There you go. Yeah.
That
I forgot what that movie was. I was like, oh, Tom Cruise pretending to be Japanese. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, him being like the last samurai, and everybody else is just like, dude, you're white.
You sure that wasn't Steven Seagal?
Yes, I'm the last samurai.
That seems like a movie you would do.
Yeah, no, it'd be like something that you would find at the discount. Like the Walmart discount bin where you're trying to find something good. It's like, oh god, Last Samurai, that's fucking
Put that back.
Put that back. 7, you were right. Terminator, Rise of the Machines, baby. Can you imagine? The sequel is number 1 at the box office, and then the next Terminator movie that comes out is number 7?
So... Here's the unfortunate thing.
I'm drinking a beer because of this.
Yeah, so here's the unfortunate thing. Arnold Schwarzenegger was made to play a machine.
Yes.
Like, because of his accent and everything, where he goes, "Get to the job," like, that voice, which that wasn't a Terminator quote. That's just what I automatically say. Yeah, exactly. But that voice where he just doesn't say any dialogue. I actually watched a really interesting interview with Sylvester Stallone, who was writing Rambo. Mm-hmm. And apparently he had a bunch of really, really shitty lines in Rambo. Yeah. Where he was like, he shot a snake and he was like, "That's the last time you'll slither at me."
That's where all the stepdads. Tommy!
Yeah, let's go to Home Depot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he said the movie was 3 hours long, had all of that shitty dialogue, and he went into the editing room and he went to the director and he's like, "Look, I will buy the movie from you just so it doesn't get made."
Wow.
It was that bad. And they cut half.
Oh my god.
The first Rambo movie is an hour and a half. Cult classic. And the reason why is if you watch the Rambo movies, Rambo doesn't really have any dialogue.
No.
It's other characters talking about Rambo. And Sylvester Stallone, it was really cool. It was an interview with Howard Stern and he kept calling him Sly. And I was like, I wish he was my friend.
Yeah, right? Sly's here.
Yeah, but it was like, it was so smart because he said that's what like a quintessential action movie should be, is the hero should still be kind of mysterious.
Right.
But the dialogue, like the audience's way in, should be through other people, not the main action hero. And so that was the same thing with Terminator. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the first one didn't have any lines, showed up naked, and
he only had 14 lines.
Yeah, and then basically just said, "Give me your shoes and your bike and your car." Like that was it. Like no other lines. And then he cuts his eye out with like, it was iconic, and he just didn't. It was him. It was perfect. But in this movie, I loved their thought around having a female Terminator. Like she was freaky. Like she did a great job. But it was just that like early 2000s, like kind of cheesy. But
I was bored.
Yeah, but it wasn't in a good way. Like it wasn't good cheese. You know?
No.
It It was bad cheese.
And they, like, the beginning of the movie, they're just redoing T2. Where he shows up, and it's like, hey, there's a stripper. It's a stripper night. Isn't that cool? Oh, he said talk to the hand. Does anyone else remember? Talk to the fucking hand? Anyone else? Do you remember that? Oh, he took his clothes. He's gonna put the shades on. They're not cool shades. They're star pink shades. And instead of Bad to the Bone, they're playing Macho Man. Isn't that so funny?
Well, so I watched this like retro interview where they interview people on set while it was being filmed. And the director, I don't even know his name.
No, he literally, I looked at his IMDb before this movie.
Yeah.
He made one good movie called The Game by David Fincher. It's pretty interesting.
Wait, is he David Fincher?
No, fuck no. No, David Fincher wouldn't touch this at all. Like, supposedly Arnold actually he talked to James Cameron and he's like, oh, James, not really, but he was like,
sucks.
Yeah, he like looked at the script and he was like, I don't know if I should do this. Like, I wanted to do this if you were part of it.
Yeah.
And James Cameron like quoted as saying, ask for a shit ton of money.
And
he did.
Great advice.
He got like a personal trainer. He got like 3 trailers.
Great advice.
He like the budget almost went over because of the amount of stuff that he like Arnold asked for. Because if I read that script too, I'd be like, this is garbage.
I also heard that he was kind of mean on set to the other actors. Like one of the things I heard is whoever played James Cameron went up to him and he's like, oh my god, Arnold, it's so great to meet you, like it's awesome. And he's like, where's Miranda for makeup? Have you seen Miranda? And he's like, no. And he's like, go find Miranda, show me your leadership skills.
That sounds like him.
Let me see your leadership skills. Go find Miranda. Like,
do some push-ups too. Show me you can do push-ups.
Nobody takes away my stogie.
Exactly. Oh, that's great. That's actually really perfect. Well, if I read the script and I was him too, I'd be like, dude, I can't do this.
Arnold Schwarzenegger on that set was a senior in high school during springtime.
He doesn't give a shit.
No, he spit his gum out on the carpet. Like, he's there to get a check and get the fuck away from this movie.
The girl, the main, like, she's one of the main leads in this movie.
Yeah.
When she showed up...
Wait, the Terminator or the other girl?
The other girl.
Okay.
When she showed up, the daughter of the senator... like Mr. Army Man,
something bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even read that.
Yeah.
She like showed up to the set and she didn't know her lines yet, and they were just like, "Here you go, like here, just memorize it. Like you can do this."
So yeah, there was something else that I watched for her specifically that she said that really was off-putting to me as like a newer actress on a film. Is she was there and she's like, yeah, the set was just like, it was like a home vibe. Everyone was really relaxed, but yeah, I didn't really come into my own until I was on set for about a month.
30 days.
And I'm like, wait, so how long did they shoot the movie? It was like 31 days.
Yeah,
it's like you just didn't. What the fuck were you doing for like just sitting there for a month? Like I'm not myself yet. Like that's 30 fucking days.
It's like that's joining a job and being like, yeah, I'm just. I'm not myself yet. I haven't really figured out where the coffee machine is.
You go to the call center, they're like, okay, it's time for you to answer phones. Yeah, I'm just not really feeling it today, so come find me in a month.
You unplug your headset, wait until there's 5 minutes left of work, and you plug it back in, and it's just 1,000 missed calls. It's like,
Let's go. Another day at the office.
I'm not feeling myself yet. I was watching the movie, and I was like, okay, I have to think of something good.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be a good scene. But for a lot of the movie, it's like just a rehash of T2.
It is, yeah.
Like, even the chase scene, where, like, with the crane and everything like that, that's just the chase scene from T2.
It is. What a lot of people liked from T2 was all of the car stuff. Like, everyone really liked the car scenes and the shotguns. And, like, it was, like, because the Terminator, Robert Patrick is Robert Patrick. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. He was perfect. And... I don't know the actress's name, but that played the new Terminator. Mm-hmm. Like, the thing that kind of frustrated me about it is at the very beginning of the movie, like, we all know how Terminator shows up naked, and it's like, it goes back to what we talked about in the first Terminator movie we reviewed, but there's some creepy guy in the writer's room.
That guy's like really creepy. He's like, naked.
Gets the guy's like, they're asking, it's like, okay, Steve, I want you to come up with a creative idea for time travel for this movie. And he goes, oh, okay, perfect. And then he goes in his creepy fucking corner, and he puts his hood on, and he goes, a bubble will appear, blah, blah, but you have to be naked. Like, it's so weird. And at the first movie, it was like, Arnold did it, and then it's like, okay, it's Arnold, you see dude butt, dude butt.
Hanging dong.
Yeah, he's just ripped as fuck. And then it's like, to me, it feels weird to, like, do... Because her scene, like, same thing. She showed up naked, walks up to this girl's, like, Corvette or whatever car is, a convertible. It looks like she rips her throat out.
Yeah.
And then immediately is in her clothes and the car. No blood anywhere.
That was something where
Weird scene.
We always talk about the writer's room. We're always like, what would the writer's room look like? There was no one in the fucking... one in the fucking writer's room for this movie.
No,
there's no one.
Yeah, there's a monkey on the desk going... Ooh.
They asked the mailman. They're like, do you have any ideas for the Terminator? I don't know. Blow up the world? Oh, great. That's a great idea. How about we use that for the very end of the movie? Let's blow up the world. Spoiler alert. Skip this movie. I was sitting there and I was like, okay, why is this R? There's no blood.
No, it's weird.
I was just watching. I was like, what a non-violent movie. This movie could have been PG-13.
It could have been, yeah. It's like when Mortal Kombat had one game that didn't have any gore, and it got like the most backlash ever, because it's like, you play Mortal Kombat because there's a comedic amount of blood that happens. Like, not saying that there needs to be like a ton of blood and super gory, but it's like, it's an action movie with fucking robots.
Yes.
I want blood and guns.
And it's Rise of the Machines. The machines don't rise until the last 15 minutes of the movie. How do you call it Rise of the Machines if you wait until the last 15 minutes of the movie? Oh, that's the name title. Let's bring out the killer drones.
So I before you and I watch a movie, I go to Rotten Tomatoes and I look at the Rotten Tomato ratings. If you've never heard of Rotten Tomatoes before, it's like a critic website, basically.
Yeah, it shows the audience reaction and it shows the critics.
But that's why I like it, because it shows both of those. So like
I like that too.
The audience reaction, the critics' reaction, because they're usually, or in most cases, can be different. So like Step Brothers, as an example, the critics were like, this movie's stupid, and the audience was like,
amazing.
I have never seen anything this good.
Yeah, exactly.
And so with Terminator 3, I hadn't seen it in a really long time, and so I went to Rotten Tomatoes, and it was 40% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Too much.
Horrible.
Too much.
Horrible rating. The
Too
audience
much.
rating, you ready for this?
Yeah.
18%.
Yes.
The critics were like, well, and the audience went, fuck you, no.
Yeah,
It sucks.
exactly.
It sucks.
That's the way it should be. I actually saw this when it came out with my dad. Like I mentioned this in the last podcast. I saw this movie with my dad, and
Did you see it in the theaters?
yeah, I saw it in theaters. The only I remember her making her breasts bigger, which was weird.
Yeah, because you're probably 12 years old.
Yeah, well,
your mind just was blown.
I was like 9 years old, and I was some part of me was like, can women do that?
It's like, that was a weird magic trick.
Yeah, exactly. Like, can I see that magic trick again?
Again, going back to the weird writer's room.
It's just there was no one in the writer's room. That's my problem. It's just like the only thing I remembered was the end. Mm-hmm. Like as a kid, I was like, that's pretty crazy to see everything blow up. Like the ending is something that I would consider good.
Yeah, I would say if I had gun to my head, the ending's the best part of the movie, which sucks.
That's really sad to say. Like, the last 10 or 15 minutes, like that's the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, they kill off Sarah Connor. Like they go to her tomb, and it's like, how did she die? Leukemia, cancer killed her off screen.
Unless cancer was another name for a special Terminator, like that sucks.
I'm cancer.
Yeah, exactly, like Starscream from Transformers.
God, I just like, and cancer was never mentioned. It's not like in T2. It was like, yeah, I have a family that, Connors that have died from cancer. This was just an off-screen death.
So I also had strong feelings about that, because you taught me something when it comes to theatrical stuff about you deemed it as lazy writing.
Yes.
Where they'll take a character, and I'll use The Walking Dead as an example.
Go for it.
Which is an okay show, the first couple seasons.
Yeah.
But what they do is they'll make a character pregnant, or they'll give a character basically just something about them that the audience connects to. That's not written dialogue. It's not a written story. It's just pregnant.
Yep.
And then it's like you connect with that character because you're a mother or you have compassion towards
You have
them,
emotions.
You're a human being. But it's like it's lazy writing. You know? Like it's not like you're taken in by the story or the dialogue that character has. It's just because of a character trait that they wrote, like not even one line.
Right, or like something I noticed, like using The Walking Dead, for example, that a lot of other shows and TV and movies use, is if there's a lot of attention on a character for an episode, that means they're going to die by the very end.
Yes.
If all of a sudden Tom from the bridge, it's like, oh, where's Tom? Guess what? Tom's going to get capped in the first.
Guess what? Tom's dead.
Tom is dead.
Tom is on borrowed time.
Every commercial break, it's like, when's Tom dying?
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to mention about this movie, because I always have gripes with time travel.
Yeah.
Which I don't fucking know.
Oh, no one give like time travel with this movie. Fucking burn it.
So have you ever heard the term retcon before?
Yes.
So retcon is basically, for those of you that don't know, it's when there's already specific events that have taken place, and then when you extend the story, they go back and add details to those already specified events. So
I know where you're going with this, and it pisses me off.
Well, so like I'll give you an example of a retcon. So like Star Wars, right?
Yep.
One of the biggest plot holes in movie history was the fact that Luke Skywalker could destroy a planet-destroying Death Star by shooting into its exhaust pipe.
Right.
Right? And so they did a genius thing where they made Rogue One.
Yep.
Right? And they tied that as like, spoiler alert, as like a blueprint like thing that was purposefully created because they had an inside man. Right? Galen Erso, or I think that was his name. And so that's a retcon, because what it means is that those events have already happened in the Star Wars universe, but now as a viewer, you're getting new information.
Right.
So it can be really well done like that, but the problem is if you do that too much, like in Terminator and all the other Terminator movies that do it, like, it's like you don't know what it's like. Okay, all right, so John Connor he's a good guy but bad guy, but not yet, but he's also a good guy, but Terminator at that point in that timeline was a bad guy, but yeah. And it's like they just, you need, if you want to sell the story again, do a story arc, like do a Star Wars story like they do. Don't try and go back to that main timeline. It's the same reason why Back to the Future gets a little bit shaky, because it's like in the second one, it's like we went back but forward, but Biff did this and that,
and then it contorted.
And so in the third one, they did the genius thing, which was like, okay, fuck all that. We went to the Wild West.
Yep, there we go. Let's solve this issue. It's like my biggest problem, and it was on IMDb trivia, which is like, okay, take it with a grain of salt, because people can edit the shit out of that. Like, it's like Wikipedia. Like, people can just do whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just the fact that they mentioned, like, okay, in T2, the central message of T2 is fate is what you make it. You can make fate, whatever. Everything can change. There's hope. There's possibility. And then T3 went, actually, fate is already determined, and people are just going to die anyways, and Judgment Day is going to happen. And I'm just like, no, like, that wasn't the aim. Like, that truly was not the aim of the movie. Like, James Cameron wasn't like, everything's set in stone. Sorry, guys, Miles is going to blow up the entire world. Live with that.
Yeah. The hard thing, too, though, like, if I'm putting myself in the shoes, and I don't know the director.
It's so frustrating. It's so irritating, because it's like, you had, 12 years?
Yeah. Well, so, I don't know if he had 12 years, because, like, I feel kind of bad for the director, because if I was a director and my movie that I was going to be directing was going to be like a cult classic, a remake of a cult classic, like
Top Gun.
Yeah, like imagine if you're directing a movie, like one of your first movies, and they go, okay, so we want you to make Breakfast Club 2.
Oh, no.
Exactly. That's a lot on his shoulders, and so I think the problem that he had is you need to do two things, right? And the example I'm going to use is Christopher Lloyd, or not Christopher Nolan.
There we go.
Not Doc Brown.
There we go.
So Christopher Nolan directed the Christian Bale saga of Batman movies.
Yeah.
And the reason why it was good is because he drew elements of Batman's origin, like Batman Begins, but it was a Christopher Nolan movie. Yeah. You know what I mean?
He also took some from the comic books.
Exactly. Where in the Terminator movie, it felt like he was just like a diet James Cameron. Yes. Like, that's what he felt like. Like, there was exactly what you said. There was copy and paste of certain scenes that was like, but it wasn't really James Cameron, and it's just one of those things where it's like, if you're gonna do a new movie, do your own thing.
Yeah, it looked cheap.
It did look really cheap.
It really looked cheap. Like, some of the graphics in this movie look like PlayStation 2 graphics.
And I don't know if that was just like the early 2000s time, but the first Terminator movie didn't look that bad.
No, and it's one of those things where it's like if they should have used more practical effects. Like like a lot of it was CGI, and it's so bad. I laughed during a really inappropriate moment where the ex-Terminator goes to the door. And the door opens, and there's, like, this 11-year-old kid, and she says, like, oh, what's your name? And he's like, my name's Tommy, or whatever. And he starts, like, acting cocky, and she pulls out her gun and shoots him,
she punches him in the chest.
Yeah, and he shoots him, like, 5 times.
Yeah.
And I started laughing, because I'm a terrible person.
Yeah.
And it was, like, that kid was acting like he was, like... the coolest kid in 6th grade, and all of a sudden she pulls out the gun and just kills him.
Yeah.
Like, what was he thinking? Like, oh, she's gonna come in, I'm gonna offer a Mike's Hard Lemonade, we're gonna hang out. It's like, if that was me, I'd be like, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing here?
Knocking on my door?
Like, if she said to me, like, scanning, I'm your long lost cousin, I'd be like, oh, cool, which side?
Exactly.
Immediately get killed. So I don't know. It's dark, but I thought the part was kind of funny. Just the fact that she kills a kid.
Well, so for me, I was watching like the behind the scenes piece of it, and they build an Arnold dummy, right? Because it gets like fried.
Yeah.
And so they're like, have the Arnold dummy, and then Arnold is next to the Arnold dummy, and he's like pumped for it. He's like, oh, they took me and made me. It's me. Yeah, Stogie. Like
I love Arnold.
He was so stoked for it, and I'm looking at his dummy, and I'm like, dude, that looks like fucking shit. Like, that looks nothing like you. But he kept pointing at the dummy and then pointing at himself. You don't like it? It's me. Stogie. Like, that's all he was saying. And
That's amazing.
It's like he was so excited for it, and it's like, I wanted to be excited for it because he was excited, but it's like, dude, that dummy looks worse than the one in the first movie where he cuts his eye out.
It's a puppet.
That looked more realistic, and this movie was filmed almost 2 decades later.
Exactly, and if I was Arnold, I'd be happy with the amount that I got paid for.
Do you know how much he got paid?
He got paid $29.25 million.
And that's like right before the mortgage crisis.
That was his fee. This was the last movie he did before he became governor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was the last movie before he ran for governor. And
do you think that Arnold knew it was going to be bad?
After reading that script, oh yeah.
You think so?
Well, because like he goes from trying to help to being hacked by the Terminator, and then he's like, I must kill you, but I cannot kill you because you are John Connor, and then just starts punching a truck. And the director called it a Hulk moment.
What?
He said it was like a Hulk moment where he like hulks out and like beats a truck, and then he comes back and he's like, she'll be back. Oh my god, I wanted to throw my laptop out the window. When he said she'll be back, I was like, Arnold, I don't blame you. You're trying your hardest. But I literally want to pull Silver Linings Playbook and throw my laptop out the fucking window. I can't take this. Like oh my god.
Also, I'm gonna give you a second to catch your breath because you're panicking.
It's the worst Terminator movie. Dark Fate's up there.
Dark Fate is up there.
This is fucking awful. Dark Fate at least has Linda Hamilton coming back as Sarah Connor.
Which is cool.
That's it. That's I'll watch her and Arnold any day, but I will not watch like some 25-cent like John Connor show up.
Yeah.
And he had a gun to his head. And he's like, I'm going to kill myself. It's like, you know what? At that point, do it. Like, that's so... I'm ranting.
Okay, here. But, let me say something real quick. So the thing about this movie that I think that they tried to do and failed at is in some action movies, and a franchise that does this really well is Marvel.
Yeah.
It'll be a really intense action movie, but there'll be little like jokes throughout, right? So like as an example, like one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time is Ragnarok, right? And Thor's in like the huge Coliseum, and he's getting ready to fight the Hulk, and he's like, "Oh my god, who is that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a friend from work." Like it's little jokes that are like riddled throughout kind of intense scenes. And they try to do that.
They tried, and oh god.
Every time it's like miss.
When he says talk to the hand that hit like a fucking thud. Like when he's talking to the guy, talk to the hand. I'm like, end me, kill me, please. My computer needs to turn into a Terminator. Shoot me in the head.
Yeah.
Like it's just all of it is just so It's frustrating because I feel
It bummed me out.
It really did, because I feel like there was something here. And by the way, the counselor shows up from the first two, and he doesn't die. Like he, like one of those drums should have come out of nowhere and just like
killed him.
Just killed him. Like it's just one of those things where it's like it looked cheap. The PlayStation 2 game looks better than this.
Yeah, the thing too that I always think about is if you think about the first two Terminator movies, they're borderline action, borderline horror movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're scary, like they're kind of freaky. And this one didn't really have that vibe.
None of it.
Because the thing that I really like about the first two Terminator movies is, and maybe this is just for me, but like what makes a horror movie to me scary, and this is someone who doesn't watch horror movies, is when you don't really know what the bad guy is doing.
Yeah.
Like it's never seen from like their point of view. They're just like in the shadows.
I would really agree with that. I've never heard anyone, this is wild. I've never really heard anyone say it like that.
You know what I mean?
So
like,
no. Like I can, like as someone that loves horror movies, I can think of a ton of examples that you just said. I've never heard anyone articulate that way. So that's really spot. Coming from someone that doesn't watch horror movies, that's really spot on.
Well, I don't watch horror movies, but I'm a pussy and get scared really easy.
But that's really spot on, because like one of my favorite horror movies is Halloween.
Yeah.
You never know what Michael Myers is doing.
And you don't know where he is.
You don't know where he is. Like a lot of the serial killers, or even other like cult horror movies like Midsommar or Hereditary.
Yeah, so
you never know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So that's a really great point.
Well, one of them that does a really great job of that you forced my hand and made me watch was Scream, where you know it's out there, it talks, like you see the Scream murderer.
Hello, Sydney.
But you don't know who it is. And that's scary. That's the scary part, is you don't know.
The strangers.
Exactly, yeah. Where, going back to the Terminator movie, like that for me alleviates a lot of that fear and panic, is because it's from their perspective. And in the first one, you could argue that, you do see a lot of Arnold in some of those scenes, but you're watching the Terminator movie for the first time. You don't know his intentions. You don't know what he's going to do. And so like that first scene where he goes up, murders all of those guys in cold blood, takes the bike and leaves, it's like, holy shit. And then every other scene, you're just in shock, where it's like, and we talked about this, where he goes to the cabin and kills her parents and then has her mom's voice. Like Arnold changes his voice as the Terminator. Where the second one, Robert Patrick does, he emulates that really well, and they add the liquid factor of like, fuck me, that's terrifying.
Right.
And then this one, it's kind of like there wasn't an added element of like the Terminator can do this.
Yeah, like she can't disappear and reappear. Like she can't teleport.
Yeah, it's like she blinks and drops nukes. Like there wasn't an added horror feature of the Terminator. Like the liquid Terminator is terrifying. Like we made jokes in the last podcast of like my Keurig stabbing me in the neck, because it's like that could be the Terminator. But it's like in this one there wasn't an added horror feature to the Terminator, and she was menacing. She's a great actress, but it's like,
and everything was in the sun. Like the other Terminators, like you had night.
The first one was almost all shot at night, I feel like.
Yes, with this one, like there was obviously a countdown for when apocalypse was going to happen that night, but it's one of those things where there was no night shots, so you're seeing the Terminator in the sun, and it's like, yeah, that's scary, but it's not like lurking in the shadows like what you said, where you just don't know where it is.
Right.
And it's such a small gripe, but like even in T2, something that's frustrating is the Terminator will literally say like, don't save your mom, you're the leader of the future. No, I have to save my mom. And it's like, dude, you're supposed to lead the entire world. Like, do you really?
What do you not understand?
I have to save my mom from the orderlies. And then you have T3 where he's like, I have to get you both to the bunker. No, my dad can stop all of apocalypse. I order you. And it's just like, could someone fucking listen to Arnold?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's just...
Arnold, the whole movie, he's like, I get the paycheck.
Yeah, Arnold, the entire movie is just like, where in Germany will I go?
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those things where it's like, the ending I thought was kind of cool because they show up thinking that they can stop the end of the world.
Yeah.
And it's like, get fucked. It's just you two.
Yeah.
You get to hear about the entire world ending, and supposedly there was supposed to be a couple more shots of everything blowing up.
Didn't
But-
run out of money?
It was after 9/11, and they were like, this is 2 years removed. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if Americans really want to see everything blowing up.
That's
and yeah, it ended up number 7, like, for 2003, and I really don't blame them. Like I said,
Well, let's be honest, it's not surprising.
no, like I said in the last podcast, I walked out of it with my dad, and
Yeah.
he said, "What did you think?" And I was like, "I think that movie sucks." And he was
Yeah.
like, "I also do. Let's get McDonald's." Like that was that was probably one of the first movies I ever saw. Because before, as a kid, it's like movies are awesome. I love movies.
Yeah.
And then you have the first experience where you see something and you go, "Oh, they can suck. They can be
Yeah.
fucking terrible."
Yeah,
Oh, this is-
my first similar experience with that is I grew up with the second releasing of the Star Wars movies, so I went and saw number 2.
Attack of the Clones.
Fucking sucked. The movie fucking sucked.
That's
But
a bore.
Revenge of the Sith, number 3,
I mean,
banger.
he kills kids. That's awesome.
That movie doesn't miss.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so for this podcast, don't watch the movie.
Please don't.
Don't waste your time.
I think it's the worst Terminator out of all of them.
It's probably the other one, Fate of
Dark Fate.
Yeah, Dark bullshit or whatever it's called. that one's probably the worst for me. This one is
hate it.
is a neck and neck like second. Like
I
it
hate
is so close.
Arnold actually said that he thinks Genesis is the third one. He's like, yeah, Rise of the Machines fucking sucks. Genesis is actually kind of fun.
Genesis
And
wasn't terrible.
It is kind of fun. It's stupid, but that's what kind of makes it fun.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like Arnold's back and just a bunch of wacky shit happens. Like
Yeah.
a school bus almost like explodes. Like, I liked Genesis. I think that we have a lot of different... the first 2, it's all you got to pay attention to. I actually told someone we were doing the third one for the podcast.
Yeah.
And they asked me in like a private message if I was okay. They're like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I finished the movie and it sucks."
Yeah. But that's what I enjoy about our podcast is we're not just gonna always watch bangers.
No, we're gonna eat some slop.
Oh yeah, we'll watch, what is that movie called? The Closet, where you go, "Hey, Mark."
Oh,
Mark.
The Room.
The Room,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
We'll watch The Room. Like I'm excited to watch movies like that. But like I said, for this episode, usually what we'll say is go watch the movie, come listen to the podcast. Fuck the movie. Don't waste your time. Just listen to the podcast. What do you want to do next week?
Well, No Way Home is rental, so we could do No Way Home since it's a little bit recent.
No Way Home. I've never seen that.
Spider-Man? The new Spider-Man movie?
new Spider-Man,
It is
okay.
for rental. But,
I feel like the Marvel universe is a slippery slope.
That's
that
like,
leads to 30 episodes later.
so heroin. Marvel is the heroin because it's like, I need to watch.
See,
all
that's
of them.
another example of retconning where it's like, well, so Loki, he's like a good guy, but he's like a
Bad guy.
but it's like, when he
Exactly. We'll figure. What do you think? What are you yearning for? Because I like the John Wick mention, but
yeah, well, if you're listening, let us know. What do you think? What movie
Yeah.
we should view next week? We have a couple days before we kind of make our decision, but before we close up things here, we have a couple of our podcasts video recorded on YouTube. If you
do.
want to check that out, JNZ Podcast on YouTube. We also do a different series called Weekday Recap, where it's kind of like a knockoff of Weekend Update. Really stupid jokes.
awful. Like the worst dad jokes. Like they're the jokes that your dad makes, and then everybody leaves the room.
Yeah.
And he goes, "All right, I'll put on T2 again." Well, time to watch Arnold again.
It's like when you're in the living room with your grandpa and you're trying to tell him something and he just keeps turning the TV up. He's just turning the TV louder and louder.
Or your grandma says, "That's nice, dear," after you've been talking for an hour.
That's nice, dear. Your mother's here. See you later. In case you're outside, yeah. Okay, well, yeah, let us know. Go over to our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, let us know what you want to see. But that's it from us this week. We will see you next Sunday.
Adios.
Adios.
You are terminated.
Hallelujah.